Yo, 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 what is going on, my CP family? I hope you guys have had an incredible week, and I know that this week, even if it has been incredible or not incredible, has been filled with a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty and despair. And we are, of course, talking about what my dear friend Skip Kelly and I called on our interview yesterday, the Voldemort virus, the virus that shall not be named. And so I wanted to come on here today and talk about this a little bit, talk about the coronavirus and talk about how it affects our businesses. Because I've had several people reaching out to me about my thoughts on how this is going to affect our world, but more importantly, or more specifically, I should say, not more importantly, more specifically because of my domain, how it's going to affect our coaching businesses. So I want to take a few minutes to come in here and talk about this stuff. If you're here live, send me a little love. Let me know that you are here and let me know that you're healthy. I'd love to know that you're all feeling good and that we're here together. If you're here on the replay, send me some love as well. And listen, I'd love to know, just on a scale of 1 to 5, how worried are you about the coronavirus? Either being the recipient of the catching the illness or the effect that it's going to have on your business going forward. A 1, if you're not afraid at all, you don't care, it doesn't even come into your awareness. 5, if you are absolutely terrified. And of course, anywhere there in between. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. Michelle is here. Michelle, how are you? Sandy, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Courtney, how are you? So good to see you here. Good morning from Hawaii, Sandy says. That's amazing. I love that. I hope you're having an amazing time. Michelle says, that has been the topic of my day, super healthy. Yeah, great. I'm so happy that you're feeling healthy. That's amazing. And so what I want to talk about here today, and I'm going to preface this by saying I'm obviously not a medical doctor. I'm not trying to give you any medical advice. I am also not somebody who... there's a lot of people in my community, and what I mean by community is people who are like colleagues or people that are in the business with me here, that are maybe being a little overly spiritualized about this. And what I don't want anybody to do in life in general, and myself included, is to have my head in the clouds or my head buried in the sand, right? Both of those polarities, they don't serve anybody. Head in the clouds, head in the sand, doesn't serve anybody. I want to be a realist, right? And realist is not a code word for pessimist. Realist is to look at the reality of the situation and to do the things that I'm going to talk about here today. Let's see here. Courtney says our trip to Bali just got postponed. Totally get that. Absolutely. Sandy says 2.5. Courtney 2.5. I get it. And I'm right there with you, right? I totally understand that. There have been a lot of things that have happened in the news. Obviously, a lot of you, I'm sure, have seen travel bans. In California, they are asking anybody who has an event of 250 people or more to postpone it. I am actually part of a large mastermind group that was meant to meet. We meet 3 times a year, and there was 140 of us or so that were meant to come here to LA next week, Thursday and Friday, for a 2-day intensive, and that has now been canceled or actually shifted into a virtual event instead, which is part of what we're going to talk about here. And so I totally get this. Sophie, welcome. So happy you're here. So what I want to talk about today, as the title says here, is Proctor and Gamble, the coronavirus, and how a pandemic can be a gift for your coaching business. Okay, it can be a gift for your coaching business. Now, there's a real opportunity here that the presence of the coronavirus, and I guess it's more importantly or more accurately, it's not the presence of the coronavirus that presents this opportunity, but it's people's reaction to the coronavirus that is the opportunity here. And it really does present us a huge opportunity in our lives and in our coaching businesses. And the first thing that I want to talk about is that this is a perfect example, and what I'm going to talk about today is a perfect example of the fact that we are playing the long game, right? I am playing the long game in my coaching business. I don't even know what the word is, stressed. I feel like saddened. Saddened's not the word, but for people who feel like they have to they got to make it happen overnight. They got 6 weeks to go from 0 to 6 figures, and they don't do that. They're screwed and they suck and they were never meant to be an entrepreneur, whatever. There's this condensed timeline that we work within, especially when the media is shoving things in our face, saying that the world is coming to an end, that all of a sudden our long-term thinking goes out the window and everything becomes a short-term decision. And I'm not saying we shouldn't make short-term decisions. We shouldn't make things that are going to serve us in the short term. Absolutely. But we need to make sure that, especially in business, we're also always playing the long game, right? It's always a long game thing. So right now, one of the challenges is that we're taking what will be a very short time in the history of our world of this virus being a pandemic, of this virus affecting us in the way that it's affecting us. We are taking this very condensed timeline, this honestly relatively a snapshot in time compared to all of our lives individually, and compared to the history of the universe and the future of the world. We are taking something that is a snapshot and drawing it out into being permanent and pervasive, right? And that's where a lot of the fear stuff comes from, right? We don't see the light at the end of the tunnel because especially the media is blocking that light. They don't want you to see the light, they want you to see the dark. And somebody was asking me the other day, well, why would they do that? Well, because they have advertisers, right? The thing that most people don't know is that television and TV shows were created as a way to keep people interested so that they could send them advertisements, so they could show them advertising. So commercials actually gave way to TV shows, not the other way around, right? TV shows were a distraction or to keep people drawn in so they'd stay around long enough for the advertisement so they'd buy stuff. So that's all this is, right? That there's a lot of that going on. And at the same time, like I mentioned, I'm not one of these hyper spiritual people that says, don't worry, as long as your chakras are in alignment, you're not going to get the virus. And if you believe that, I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of the sentiment, but I'm not making fun of you. I'm just kidding. It's totally fine. If you believe that and it helps you, that's all that matters. If it's helpful, that's fantastic. But what I'm saying is that's not what I'm telling you to do here. What I'm telling you to do here is this. I've had people reach out to me and I get it. There are valid concerns about people cutting discretionary spending, whether individuals or companies. There is definitely truth to the fact that could happen, especially if you work in corporations or you work with different companies and coach teams. Oftentimes for a company that is not, that doesn't understand the implications and applications of ongoing training, they will cut that first because it feels like an expense. It feels like a cost center instead of it being a solution provider, right? So that's very possible that can happen. Individuals may be slower to invest in coaching as well. It could happen. I'm not saying it will, but it could happen. So here is where you have the opportunity. Here's where there is a gift in this. Here's how the coronavirus and a pandemic can actually help your business. When people are in this place of potentially cutting their discretionary spending, this is where you double down and you plant seeds for when this is all over, because this is going to be all over. Now, I'm not minimizing the virus. I'm not minimizing the impact that it can have on people's lives. I'm not even minimizing the fact that it could be fatal to certain groups, but the majority of people in this world, especially in the developed world, not to say, of course, we don't care about the developing world, but for the developed world especially, the fear is almost all completely unfounded or unwarranted, because the majority of people who would even contract this virus, if they are relatively healthy, will be able to recover. The people who are older or have pre-existing conditions, yes, they are at risk. And I know this is a real thing, but so is the regular flu, and so is pneumonia, and so is so many other illnesses that kill hundreds of thousands of people collectively per year. Hell, heart disease kills way more people than coronavirus will, and yet people are still, doing stupid shit with their health. Whatever, myself included. Olga, I heard you mention that you look like I have a piece of bacon behind my head. It does look like that. I love that. Thank you very much. As I'm talking about heart disease. So here's what I'm advocating. What I'm advocating is that you plant seeds for this when it's all over, because it's going to be over. This is going to be a blip on the radar, just like the Great Depression is now a blip on the radar. Now, of course, the Great Depression felt like it was going to be the end-all be-all for the world when it happened in 1929. And now, nearly 100 years later, 90 years later, it's not even something that ever enters people's consciousness every day. They're still out there making money and innovating and growing and evolving and doing all these things, right? So this is going to be a blip on the radar as well. But what do we do now? Well, number one is, I'm not telling you to focus on positive thinking, right? I say this all the time. I am not a fan of positive thinking. I am a fan of possibility-based thinking. I am a fan of being innovative and being of service. I am a fan of living into the mantra that I created for myself years ago, that creativity is greater than circumstance. Creativity is greater than circumstance. And we all have the ability to do this, right? And Richard's saying, double the fuck down. Absolutely. Double down on service. And speaking of doubling down on service and doubling down on creativity and innovation, and speaking of the Great Depression, there are a slew of companies that were either started or grew and expanded during the Great Depression. And one of my favorite stories about this is Proctor and Gamble, P&G. For those of you who don't know, obviously huge international conglomerate. And P&G in 1929, during the Great Depression, got completely panicked, right? Because grocery stores and stores that would carry all the different products from P&G they started canceling all their orders. Well, when you have a huge company like P&G, you have your supply chain management set up so you have inventory that is created and stocked based on the demand and based on the purchase orders that you have for the different companies you're working with. So P&G has now stocked up all their inventory because they believe they were going to sell it, and then on the downstream there, on the end users, the end clients who would then buy that stuff, that inventory, and put it in their stores, they said, nope, we're not doing it anymore. So now P&G sits there and says, holy shit, Great Depression, where all of our orders being canceled, what the hell are we going to do? Where they slowed down. They slowed down and asked themselves, what is it that people are going to need even in a depression? What are the things they're not going to be able to live without that we can provide them with? And what they came up with was soap. Now, they were already selling soap. It was already a part of their product line, but they decided that they were going to focus on soap because even in the Great Depression, people still needed soap. And so if they're going to buy the soap anyways, why not have them buy the soap from P&G, from Proctor and Gamble? So instead of Procter and Gamble slashing their advertising budget or getting in a full-on scarcity mindset, they doubled down. They doubled down on service. They doubled down on creativity. They doubled down on innovation. They doubled down on their advertising costs and even did this. Check this out. Check how edutainment, which is my core, my entire business is built around edutainment, right? Education, entertainment together. And it's what we teach in our program. When you're creating content, it should be educational, entertaining, and engaging. This is so amazing to me because what they did was they said, you know what? Not only are we going to double down on our advertising, but we want to sell soap. And the people who probably make the people who are the decision makers about buying soap are the homemakers who are home all day and not going to a job. We are going to start running a daily radio show, a dramatic radio show every single day that's targeted at these homemakers. And you know what that became? The very first ever soap opera, right? This is where this came from, soap opera. And so they doubled down into entertainment, into innovation, into service, and they grew during this period because of that. Now, you may be asking yourself, what the hell does this have to do with me, right? What does it have to do with me and how does that affect my coaching business? I don't sell soap. I get it. But we all have an opportunity to do exactly what P&G did here. To double down on innovation, to double down on creativity, to double down on service, and to know that this is a blip on the radar for the long term of what we're doing. So let me make this really practical for you. Before I do that, I just want to see, is this resonating with you? Give me a 2 in the comments if this is resonating with you and you're getting this, right? And you're seeing that I'm not saying that it's not a real disease. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be vigilant about keeping ourselves healthy. What I'm saying here is that there is an opportunity for us to serve. There's an opportunity for us to plant seeds now that are going to pay off for our businesses. Because while everybody else, all the other coaches and all the other service providers and all the other thought leaders who could scramble and say, well, you know what? I'm going to go scramble and figure out ways to do all these things over here. When everything comes back to center, who do you think people are going to want to work with? It's the ones who serve them in the times they needed it most, okay? Thank you for all the 2s here. I'm glad this is resonating. So cool. So now that this is resonating, I want to make this real for all of you. So what does that look like? How does this actually look? Okay, so think about this. What do people need more than anything during a crisis like this? Okay, what do people need more than anything during a crisis like this? And feel free to type what you think it is here in the comments because I'll want you to then take what I say after this and go back to your own responses and figure out how you can do what I'm about to tell you to do in your way. So replay, live people, type in here, what do you think it is that people need most during a crisis like this, during a pandemic, during the time when a new virus like this hits? Well, for me, what I would say people need the most right now, number 1 is optimism. Right? Now, I'm not talking about blind hope. I'm not talking about head in the clouds or head in the sand. I'm talking about real optimism, a system of thinking, right? A system of thinking that a self-leader would use, okay? Optimism, that's one thing people need. Number 2, people need healthy habits, right? People need to be instilling healthy habits in what they consume and what they do with their bodies. They need to have that as well. And number 3, they need the ability to perform even in the face of tons of uncertainty or ambiguity or volatility. Okay, so these are the 3 things that I believe, and I love the ones you guys are saying here. Good leadership, clarity, serenity, support, courage, clarity, calming, creativity. Yes, the 4 C's, absolutely. So this is great. So you guys all get this. So this is going to be perfect. You're going to know exactly what to do with this. So again, for me, optimism, system of thinking, healthy habits, and the ability to perform in the midst of tons of uncertainty. So what does this look like? See, people's minds and bodies being compromised not only increases the likelihood that they will contract the disease, but also that it'll be harder to recover, that it'll hit them harder, okay? So just like people being proactive about taking certain supplements or buying toilet paper or stocking up on food. They can also see that being proactive in their relationship to all of this and having a solid relationship with all of this and coming from a place of self-leadership with all of this can actually help them to stay healthy, to stay productive, to stay optimistic in the face of all that's happening. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out and help people be set up to win during the crisis, because then they will be set up to win after the crisis is over. And you will be somebody that will be remembered as somebody who served them when this happened. So I want to give you very, very specific examples based on the type of coach that you might be, so that you get, I don't want to just make this like high level. I want to take it from high level to eye level, as one of my mentors says. So high level, focus on service, creativity, innovation, and doubling down on the ways that you can actually help people when they need it the most. In a practical sense, here are some of the things you can do. If you are a health coach, reach out to mom groups or to companies and offer to do a Zoom call on ways for them to boost their immune system, or ways for them to get better sleep, or the type of supplements that they should be taking to stay healthy, or the types of foods they should be eating to stay as healthy as possible while the virus is around. Go and do that. It could be completely free of charge. Go do that. Go help people with the things they're struggling with if you are a health coach. If you're a relationship coach, or maybe you're a parenting coach, reach out to your past clients or reach out to your prospective clients and put out an invite to them or put out an invite on Facebook to teach your best tips on how to handle a partner who might be freaking out because of the virus. Maybe you're calm, but your partner is somebody who's freaking out and making everything catastrophic. Put out an invite for a group Zoom call or even a one-on-one call to help them how to deal with a partner who's freaking out, or how not to alarm your children about what's going on while also teaching them how to be aware and be careful. So do that if you are a relationship or a parenting coach. If you are a life coach and you work on mindset or peak performance or fears or confidence or any of those things, reach out to small businesses, reach out to individuals in leadership positions, and help them to develop the mindset that will allow them to stay clear, to stay calm, to stay creative, to be courageous, and to not let stress or anxiety take over their work or to take over their bodies or to take over their minds, to help them focus on what they can control and not be a prisoner to the distractions and the fear-mongering. This is where you have an opportunity to serve. And I know what you're thinking right now. Well, am I going to get paid for any of this? Maybe, maybe not, but it doesn't matter, because when things turn around, when optimism comes back, when this snapshot in time of this virus and this pandemic passes by, because it is a snapshot in time, when people feel okay about navigating all of this because you were willing to show up and be served and to serve instead of being scared, and that you didn't go into hiding, but you doubled down on service, you will be rewarded for that. You will be the only person they think about working with or referring people to because of the great gift that you provided during their dark times. So this is what I really want you to double down on. Yes, understand that the virus is a real thing. I am not saying to put your head in the sand, and I am not saying to have your head in the clouds. I am not saying to be blindly hopeful. I am not saying any of those things. What I'm saying is that if you want to be at your own level of peak performance, you need to focus on the things that are going to keep you healthy, and then you need to focus on the ways you can be of service to others so they can be set up to win. And the people who focus on service, just like Proctor and Gamble in 1929, and just like so many other companies that either were started or flourished during the Great Depression, creativity wins. Service wins. Love wins. Clear, calm, self-leadership wins, but only always. So that's what I really want for all of you. Give me a 3 in the comments if this is resonating with you, and if you are down to do this. Like, I don't want you just to take this as like, oh, this is cool information. I want you to think about, what is one thing that you could teach that you believe would really help people to stay in a good place while this is all going on? Again, I've given you examples of you're a health coach, you're a relationship coach, you're a parenting coach, you're a life coach, you're a business coach, whatever it is that you do. I would love for you to really think about, who can you reach out to this coming week? Who can you send an email to? Can you send an email to your list? Can you post something in your Facebook group? Can you post something on your personal Facebook page? Can you post something in other Facebook groups? Can you reach out to past clients? Can you reach out to prospects? Can you reach out to people that you know that are friends of yours in leadership positions and offer something that can help take some of the burden away from them? Take some of their suffering away. If you can replace 5% of people suffering in fear with 5% more joy and possibilities, you win, they win, we all win, everything works. That's what I want for all of you. Let me just check here in the comments real quick because I saw a lot of stuff coming in. Thank you all so much for being here and for listening to all this. Olga, yes, the bacon, love it. So good to see all of you here. Richard says, now is the time for service. Absolutely. Laura, hey, so good to see you, and you are so welcome for the uplifting message. Sophie says, amen, not a fan of positive thinking. Yep, totally get that. Thank you so much for that. Michelle says, what is not sitting well with me is people who are being totally opportunistic by marketing with fear as the driver. Should have bought shares and hand sanitizer, $35 for a small finger-sized bottle. That fear-driven marketing style just doesn't sit with me. And like, even that's a great message, Michelle, right? So for anybody who's like a business coach, you may want to reach out to prospects or clients or do something for your audience that says, why marketing from fear is an incredible short-term solution and a terrible long-term one. Because while you might make some cash early on, you're going to lose trust in the long term. And people who have trust are the ones whose businesses stick around for a long time. People who just have cash, they will fizzle out at some point. So I love that, Michelle. Thanks for sharing that. Sebastian, what's going on, man? Richard says, how is this meant to help me? Yes, absolutely. Love that. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody here. Let's see. Yep. Awesome. Richard said discipline and clarity was what they need for sure. Michelle says, I just wrote about this today. Fear is rife at the moment. Fear of infection, fear of big gatherings and connection, fear of no time for preparation. You can trump fear by focusing on things you love. I love the health ABCs, although it's more like ABCDEFGs. A, get out in air, get out in the sunshine and fresh air. B, breathe, do 5-5-5 breathing and rest. C, connection, be with people you love. D, drink H2O, stay well hydrated. E, eat nutritionally to boost your immunity. F, fresh, real food, avoid processed. And G, gratitude, let that be your attitude. Love it. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. Appreciate that. Richard says also creative execution. Absolutely. Cool. So I'm getting 3s from all of you here. Thank you so much. Love this. Jen says, reaching out to our graduates today. Fantastic. Anna says, I teach emotional resilience. Perfect for corporate environments for sure. Eileen says, I was just thinking about that yesterday. Amazing. Laura says, sending email to my list and offer a Zoom call to stay in peace and health. Fantastic. Sandy says, needed this. Awesome. So happy to hear that. Tony says, OMG, I barely caught you live. Happy Friday. I'm over here offering strategies to reduce stress and anxiety on Facebook Live all week. Amazing. Love it, brother. Olga says, the flu pandemic in 1918 took out 25 million lives in the US and no one's talking about it. We have international resources focused on it, so it's just a blip. Focus on your service. Yes, yes. I love it. So guys and gals, that is what I want you to do in the world. Focus on doubling down on creativity and service. See that this is a gift to your business if you treat it that way. Go be of service. Go remove people's suffering. Go and plant joy and possibilities instead. And I am going to have a little mini JG team breakfast. I know we should fist bump or elbow bump and not hug. Wash your damn hands all the time. It's been like 20 minutes I've been on Facebook Live. I usually would have washed my hands 19 times by now, but I'm going to go meet Cindy and Amy from my team for breakfast, and we are going to sit together and love on each other and do all the things that we should be doing with our prospects and our clients as well. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you very soon. Have a great weekend. Love you all so much. Mwah! Peace.